A shadowy figure leans over a glowing screen in a dimly lit room. The soft hum of machines fills the air as lines of code cascade down the monitor like a digital waterfall. Elon, a voice asks, breaking the stillness, what drives you? Why risk everything to build the impossible? Elon Musk, his face half lit by the pale blue glow, smirks. Risk everything? The real risk is doing nothing. But how did he get here? What forged the mind of a man determined to change the very fabric of humanity? To understand Elon Musk, we must go back not to Tesla or SpaceX but to a boy in Pretoria, South Africa. A boy armed with curiosity and a relentless spirit. Born on June 28, 1971, Elon Reeve Musk was a boy unlike any other. His mind was a vault of questions that refused to stay locked. Even as a child, Elon was a dreamer, a dangerous kind of dreamer. Dangerous because his dreams weren't bound by gravity or logic. They soared, limitless, into the stars. Growing up in a challenging household, with a tough-as-nails father and a loving but distant mother, Elon found refuge in books. He devoured stories of epic adventures, from The Lord of the Rings to The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. But it wasn't just fiction. Physics and engineering books became his companions. At just 10 years old, Elon stumbled upon something that would change his life forever, a computer. Back then, computers were clunky, alien machines, but to Elon, they were magic. Within days, he taught himself to code. By the age of 12, he had created his first video game, Blastar, and sold it for $500. It wasn't just a game, it was a declaration, the boy was a builder. But genius is rarely celebrated in its infancy. School was a battlefield. Bullied relentlessly for being different, Elon found himself bruised and battered, both physically and emotionally. The other kids didn't see the future visionary, they saw a quiet, awkward boy who always had his head in the clouds. One day, after a particularly brutal attack that left him hospitalized, Elon made a vow to himself, "They'll never break me again." He began to train his body as rigorously as his mind. Martial arts, karate, and even wrestling became part of his routine. He transformed himself into someone who could stand tall against the world. But as his body grew stronger, so did his dreams. He became obsessed with humanity's greatest question: how do we survive beyond Earth? At 17, Musk made a bold move. He left South Africa with nothing but a suitcase and a fierce determination to rewrite his destiny. His mother, May, helped him secure a Canadian passport, and he landed in Canada to pursue education and opportunity. Elon worked odd jobs to survive, cleaning out boiler rooms, chopping wood, and doing whatever it took to fund his dreams. By the time he transferred to the University of Pennsylvania, his focus had sharpened. He studied economics and physics, not just to learn, but to arm himself with the tools to change the world. One night, in the dorms of Penn, Elon confided in a friend, "I want to create something that pushes humanity forward, something that matters on a cosmic scale." Little did anyone know, this quiet declaration would lead to some of the most audacious ventures in human history. In 1995, with a head full of ideas and pockets full of lint, Elon and his brother, Kimball, drove to Silicon Valley. They founded their first company, Zip2, a digital city guide for newspapers. They worked day and night, often sleeping in the office. But even as Zip2 grew, Elon wasn't satisfied. Selling Zip2 for $307 million gave him financial freedom, but money wasn't his endgame, it was fuel for bigger dreams. He poured his newfound wealth into his next venture, X.com, an online banking platform that would eventually evolve into PayPal. The tech world thought Elon was crazy, but they underestimated him. He wasn't just building companies, he was building the future. And yet, for Elon, this was only the beginning. As Elon Musk reflects on his early years, his voice drops to a whisper. "You have to embrace the pain," he says. "Because on the other side of pain is growth. And on the other side of growth is destiny." In the next chapter, we'll follow Elon as he takes his first steps toward conquering space, revolutionizing energy, and daring to do what others deemed impossible. But the road ahead is fraught with betrayal, failure, and unimaginable stakes. Elon Musk's life was never a straight path. It was a series of sharp turns, steep climbs, and treacherous descents. By the late 1990s, Musk had tasted his first major success. Selling Zip2 had made him a multimillionaire, but the fire inside him only burned brighter. He wasn't in the game for comfort, he wanted to disrupt entire industries. With X.com, Elon set out to redefine how people thought about money. Online banking was a radical idea at the time, one that most people dismissed as impractical and unsafe. But Elon saw its potential. He poured his time, energy, and a significant chunk of his wealth into making X.com a reality. The vision was clear: to create a financial system that could operate at the speed of thought. However, the road was anything but smooth. The early days of X.com were chaotic, marked by disagreements among the team and constant technical hurdles. Elon's relentless drive often put him at odds with others, but he refused to compromise. His motto was simple: if something is important enough, you do it, even if the odds are against you. It was during this period that X.com merged with a rival company, Confinity, and eventually evolved into PayPal. While PayPal was a massive success, the journey wasn't easy. Elon faced pushback from investors and even his own team. At one point, he was ousted as CEO while on a vacation, an experience that left him shaken but not broken. Despite the setback, Elon remained focused. PayPal became a game-changer, revolutionizing online payments and earning Musk a fortune when it was sold to eBay for $1.5 billion. For most people, this would have been a career-defining moment, a signal to retire and live a life of luxury. But for Elon, it was just fuel for the next revolution. As the dust settled from the PayPal sale, Musk began to think bigger. Much bigger. His mind wandered to the stars. He had always been fascinated by space exploration, and now, with the resources to make a difference, he decided to take action. Elon looked at NASA and the aerospace industry and saw stagnation. Space travel was expensive, inefficient, and stuck in the past. He believed humanity's survival depended on becoming a multiplanetary species, and if no one else was going to make it happen, he would. This was the birth of SpaceX. Musk founded the company in 2002 with a single goal: to make space travel affordable and ultimately colonize Mars. It sounded insane. Journalists mocked him, competitors dismissed him, and even his closest allies doubted the feasibility of his vision. But Elon had never cared about being understood, he cared about results. To fund SpaceX, Elon poured almost all of his fortune into the company. He worked tirelessly, personally interviewing engineers, learning the intricacies of rocket science, and pushing his team to defy the limits of what was possible. But the challenges were relentless. The early years of SpaceX were marked by failure after failure. The company's first 3 rocket launches ended in disaster, each one a multimillion-dollar setback. The media was ruthless, labeling Musk's dream a foolish pipe dream. Inside SpaceX, morale was low. The team knew that a 4th failure would likely mean the end of the company. Investors were skeptical, and Musk himself was stretched thin, both financially and emotionally. But even in the darkest moments, Elon refused to give up. He reminded his team, when something is important enough, you fight for it. No matter what. The fourth launch was a make-or-break moment. As the countdown began, tension filled the air. Engineers held their breath, knowing that years of work and countless sleepless nights were riding on this single moment. The rocket lifted off, soaring into the sky, and this time it succeeded. The success of that fourth launch marked a turning point, not just for SpaceX, but for Elon Musk himself. It was proof that the impossible could be achieved with enough determination and grit. Contracts from NASA soon followed, and SpaceX began its ascent to becoming a dominant force in the aerospace industry. But as SpaceX took off, Musk was already setting his sights on another revolution: sustainable energy. Tesla, a small electric car startup he had invested in, was struggling to survive. Elon stepped in, taking over as CEO and putting his reputation on the line once again. The electric car industry was in shambles at the time, with most automakers dismissing it as a niche market with no future. Musk saw things differently. He believed that the world needed to transition to renewable energy, and electric cars were a critical part of that transition. Tesla's early days were a roller coaster of challenges. The company faced constant production delays, financial troubles, and fierce criticism from skeptics. Many believed that Tesla would go bankrupt before it could deliver on its promises. Yet, through it all, Musk remained unshaken. He worked around the clock, often sleeping on the factory floor to oversee production and ensure the company stayed on track. His obsession with perfection sometimes made him a difficult leader, but it also drove Tesla to achieve what many thought was impossible. The Roadster, Tesla's first major vehicle, was a groundbreaking achievement. It proved that electric cars could be fast, stylish, and practical. But this was just the beginning of Elon's vision for Tesla. By now, Musk's name was becoming synonymous with disruption. SpaceX was proving that private companies could compete with government space programs, and Tesla was paving the way for a greener future. But as Musk would soon discover, success came with a price. By the time Tesla's Roadster hit the market, Elon Musk had already established himself as a force of nature. His ventures in electric vehicles, space exploration, and renewable energy were gaining momentum. But ambition, like fire, can be both a creator and a destroyer. For Musk, the next chapter of his life would be a trial by fire. Tesla was pushing boundaries, but the company was bleeding money. Every new vehicle model brought new challenges, from battery production bottlenecks to skepticism about the viability of electric cars. The media was relentless, labeling Tesla as doomed and predicting its collapse. At the same time, SpaceX was entering an even more ambitious phase. Musk was no longer content with simply launching satellites or sending cargo to the International Space Station. His sights were set on Mars, and he was willing to risk everything to get there. The pressure was immense. Musk had invested almost all his personal wealth into Tesla and SpaceX, leaving him on the brink of bankruptcy. His family and close friends worried about his health as he juggled two of the most demanding companies in the world. But Elon was not the kind of man to back down. To him, every setback was a puzzle waiting to be solved. He pushed his teams harder, working alongside them late into the night and challenging them to think beyond the limits of conventional engineering. Tesla faced its greatest challenge during the development of the Model S. This was not just another car, it was a statement. The Model S had to prove that electric vehicles could outperform traditional gas-powered cars in every way: speed, range, safety, and style. Delays plagued the project, and costs spiraled out of control. At one point, Tesla was just weeks away from running out of cash. Musk made the difficult decision to lay off employees and cut costs wherever possible. He personally reached out to investors, pleading for one last chance to save the company. It worked. Against all odds, the Model S launched, and it was a masterpiece. Critics raved about its performance and innovation, and it quickly became a symbol of the future of transportation. For the first time, it seemed like Tesla might survive. But Musk's challenges were far from over. The success of the Model S brought even greater scrutiny. The media dissected his every move, while competitors in the automotive industry began to take Tesla seriously, perhaps too seriously. Legacy automakers, oil companies, and lobbyists started pushing back, trying to undermine Tesla's progress at every turn. Elon responded with characteristic boldness. He opened Tesla's patents to the public, inviting competitors to use the company's technology to advance the electric vehicle industry as a whole. It was a daring move, but Musk knew that the fight against climate change required collaboration on a global scale. Meanwhile, SpaceX was facing its own existential threats. The company had secured contracts with NASA, but Musk's ultimate goal, creating a reusable rocket, seemed like science fiction. Rockets were traditionally single-use machines, discarded after each launch. This made space travel prohibitively expensive. Musk saw a better way. He envisioned rockets that could land back on Earth, ready to fly again. His engineers called it impossible, but Musk refused to listen. If it doesn't violate the laws of physics, he told them, then it's possible. The first attempts at reusable rockets were catastrophic failures. Rockets crashed, exploded, and burned. Each failure cost millions of dollars and brought the company closer to financial ruin. But Musk remained undeterred. He analyzed each failure, using it as a stepping stone to the next attempt. His persistence paid off in 2015 when the Falcon 9 rocket successfully landed vertically after launching into space. It was a moment that redefined the aerospace industry and cemented SpaceX's reputation as a pioneer. By now, Musk had become a polarizing figure. To his supporters, he was a visionary, a modern-day Tony Stark. To his critics, he was reckless, arrogant, and overly ambitious. But Elon didn't care about public opinion. He was focused on the future. One of the most significant milestones for SpaceX came with the development of the Starship program. This massive spacecraft was designed to carry humans to Mars and beyond. It was an audacious goal, but Musk's confidence never wavered. He often told his team, "If we don't try, we've already failed." At the same time, Tesla was scaling up its operations. The company introduced the Model 3, a more affordable electric car aimed at the mass market. Production of the Model 3 was a logistical nightmare, with Musk describing it as production hell. He slept in the factory, overseeing every detail and troubleshooting problems on the assembly line. The stress was enormous, but Musk's relentless drive paid off. The Model 3 became a bestseller, proving that electric cars could compete with and even outperform traditional vehicles in terms of affordability and quality. As Tesla and SpaceX soared to new heights, Musk began to branch out into other ventures. He founded Neuralink, a company focused on creating brain-computer interfaces, and The Boring Company, aimed at revolutionizing urban transportation with underground tunnels. Each new project added another layer to Musk's legend. But beneath the surface, the toll on his personal life was becoming evident. His relationships often suffered, and his health was frequently at risk due to his intense work schedule. Yet Musk never let these challenges slow him down. He saw himself as a servant of humanity, someone who had been given the opportunity to make a difference on a global scale. "I don't care if I fail," he once said. "I care if I don't try." As the world began to recognize the scope of Musk's achievements, he started to dream even bigger. The final frontier, Mars, was no longer a distant vision. It was becoming a tangible goal, and Musk was determined to lead humanity there. Elon Musk had built empires from scratch. Tesla had transformed the automotive industry, SpaceX had revolutionized space travel, and his other ventures, Solar City, Neuralink, and the Boring Company, were redefining energy, technology, and infrastructure. Yet, even with all these accomplishments, Musk's eyes remained fixed on the horizon, where Earth ended, and the cosmos began. SpaceX's Starship program was no longer just a concept, it was a fully realized mission to make humanity a multi-planetary species. Musk believed that Mars was not just an option but a necessity for the survival of humankind. "One day, there will be a catastrophe on Earth," he said. "It's not a question of if, but when. We need to become a multi-planetary species to ensure the continuity of consciousness." The journey to Mars was an engineering challenge of unimaginable proportions. Building a spacecraft capable of carrying humans across millions of miles of space, keeping them alive on a barren planet, and establishing a self-sustaining colony was the kind of challenge that would have made even the most ambitious minds hesitate. But Musk thrived on the impossible. He pushed SpaceX harder than ever. The Starship program faced setbacks, including spectacular explosions during test flights. Critics called it reckless, but Elon saw every failure as progress. "Each crash teaches us something," he said. "The only true failure is not trying." In 2022, SpaceX achieved a major milestone when Starship successfully launched, orbited Earth, and landed intact. This was the moment the world realized that Mars was no longer a distant dream. It was a destination within reach. Musk wasn't just thinking about rockets and habitats, he was envisioning an entirely new civilization. He imagined cities powered by renewable energy, with oxygen and water harvested from Mars itself. He spoke about schools, art, and culture flourishing on the red planet. To Elon, colonizing Mars wasn't just about survival, it was about creating a new chapter for humanity. As the first human missions to Mars were planned, Musk's vision inspired a new generation. Scientists, engineers, and dreamers from all over the world rallied behind his mission. SpaceX was no longer just a company, it was a movement. Back on Earth, Tesla continued to lead the transition to sustainable energy. The company's solar roofs and Powerwall batteries were making homes energy independent. Gigafactories were being built across the globe, each one a step closer to a future free from fossil fuels. Elon's relentless drive extended to Neuralink, which was making breakthroughs in brain-computer interfaces. These technologies had the potential to cure neurological disorders, enhance human cognition, and even merge humans with artificial intelligence. For Musk, this was about more than just technology, it was about expanding the boundaries of what it meant to be human. Yet, even as his companies thrived, Musk remained a polarizing figure. His outspoken nature on social media, his bold predictions, and his unorthodox leadership style often made headlines. But those who worked closely with him knew the truth: Musk wasn't driven by ego. He was driven by an unshakable belief in humanity's potential. By the mid-2020s, the first crewed mission to Mars was launched. The world watched in awe as SpaceX's Starship carried a team of pioneers to the red planet. It was a moment that transcended politics, borders, and generations. When the astronauts set foot on Mars and planted the SpaceX flag, it marked the beginning of a new era. For Musk, this was not the end of the journey but the beginning of a larger story. He spoke about going beyond Mars, to the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, and perhaps even to other star systems. His vision was as boundless as the universe itself. In interviews, Elon often reflected on the sacrifices he had made along the way. His relationships, health, and personal happiness had all been tested. But when asked if it was worth it, he never hesitated. "The future has to be inspiring," he said. "If we're not working towards something greater than ourselves, what's the point?" Elon Musk's story is not just about rockets and cars, it's about a mindset. It's about daring to dream bigger than anyone thought possible, embracing failure as a stepping stone, and never letting fear dictate your actions. As he stood on a launch pad one night, watching another starship prepare to leave Earth's atmosphere, Musk turned to a reporter and said, "I want people to remember that no matter how hard things get, there's always a way forward. The only limit is the one you place on yourself." Elon Musk's life is a testament to the power of vision, determination, and the unyielding belief that we are capable of achieving the extraordinary. His legacy isn't just written in the stars, it's written in the hearts of everyone inspired to chase the impossible.